I am here joined with my friend Faith. So some background on Faith. She's a Boulder local at this point. We've been discussing her origins, but we met at a party like at Halloween randomly, and she's like, "Oh, I recognize you from socials or some shit." And we connected online, and we talked a little bit about parts work. And I thought I'd bring her in to really do a deep dive into internal family systems and parts work, because I think it is so unbelievably beneficial working with clients, working with myself. But before that, you had a question that you wanted to ask me.
Yeah. So thanks for having me. It's fun to be here with you. It's fun to
Thanks
get to feel you in person. I mean, I'm just like a spiritual fuckboy. Like I just like, I'm here with Ben.
Yeah.
The spiritual fuckboy.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So, dude, okay, so you're not the only one to ask that. So spiritual fuckboy, first of all, I can give the origin of the name, and I will in a second, but first it's tongue-in-cheek, so it's like a joke.
Okay.
It's provocative. I mean, you have to I just assumed people would understand this is a joke. You know what I mean? It's spiritual fuckboy, what? And it's like, it's tongue-in-cheek. And the thing is, I don't think a real, like, active, full-fledged fuckboy would call themselves spiritual fuckboy. It's just one of those terms also that gets thrown around, like you see on memes and shit. And I just thought it was hilarious. And it's sort of my aesthetic, if you know what I mean? Because, like, you know, I get it. I'm pretty. I got the tats. I got the spiritual shit going on. I was on the cover of Playgirl, which is kind of fucking hilarious. But also, I just have these really deep things to say. So, spiritual fuckboy, it sort of fits. I wanted to name my podcast that years ago before I even found the studio. I was like, dude, I think spiritual fuckboy is hilarious. And I think it sort of fits my, like, aesthetic, my vibe.
Yeah.
And my friend's like, bro, you cannot name your podcast Spiritual Fuckboy. And I was like, all right, fine. So then I thought of other titles, and I was just like, I have no fucking clue what to name this shit. It's all over the place. So then I was like, the Duff Daddy Experience, and we did like a few episodes of that with that title. And then I had my friend Mars on, and she is a one of a kind. We had just a crazy just experience together, and then just episode, and she was basically going to share this story the story from her experience in Thailand when she was an intern, and basically married this Lebanese prince while she's like at this internship. I won't go too deep into the story, but it turned into almost like a Taken situation, and she had to get like shipped off the island, and it was just a fucking amazing story. And she's like, I don't know if I want to share that. Yes. And I'm like, please, if you can, I would love if you could share that. And she's like, okay, fine. I'll only share the Thailand story if you change the name of your podcast to Spiritual Fuckboy.
Damn, okay.
And I was like, do I do it? Do I not do it? I don't know. I was like torn, and like something in my heart was like, bro, just fucking do it. Who gives a fuck, dude? Just send it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, all right, we're gonna do it. We're gonna change it. Spiritual Fuckboy. And I will say it's a name that it's been difficult to grow into, because at my core, I don't feel like a spiritual fuckboy. It doesn't feel like me. It doesn't, like, it never really has been. But I mean, I don't know. Recently, at least, I mean, I see a lot of chicks, and I do like to fuck, and I am hella spiritual. And it's like, well, okay, if that's the definition, then I guess it's kind of works.
Well, it almost feels like there's a way in which you're playing with the shame of it, right? Of being like, let's like touch this taboo thing that's like, you're not supposed to be that.
Exactly.
You're not supposed to be that. That's a bad thing to be. That means that you're also like negligent and probably don't have character.
Exactly. And so the term fuckboy, I mean, this is a timeless term, let's be honest. But it's like, what does that describe? In my mind, at least, it describes someone who is, you know, emotionally closed off, not me, who is cold, not me. Who is like doesn't care about other people's feelings, not me. I just get like Weekend Drake type vibes. You know what I mean? I fuck with The Weeknd and I fuck with Drake. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm not emotionally unavailable. I'm not cold. I'm not an asshole. I'm not leaving people out to dry. So it's like it is a provocative name, and like I said, it's tongue-in-cheek, and it's tongue-in-cheek for a reason. There's a reason it's sort of a joke. Because so many spiritual motherfuckers are like, bro, what's up with your name? Spiritual fuckboy, dude. And I'm like, dog, chill, it's a joke. Like, and it's like, also, can we laugh
Yeah.
at spiritual topics, or is it all
Yeah.
high and tight and so super
Yeah.
serious? It's like, oh,
Yeah.
I think there's a necessity for actually humor to be able to break the tension, because spiritual topics are deep, and we're talking about worldviews, and that can be really emotionally charged. But the whole title, Spiritual Fuckboy, is like, anyone listen to this, please chill. Like, you know what I mean? Just, it's a fucking joke. The life is a fucking mystery. This place, it's all, you know, the dance of illusion from certain perspectives, and can we like engage with it like that?
Yeah, exactly.
And then again, the benefit is breaking the tension.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, once it's like spiritual fuckboy, what the fuck? And it's like, wait, actually, he's got some real shit to say, but it's kind of a joke. And so it all comes together, and it feels really deeply right in some ways. It's kind of weird though, and like, because I don't feel like a fuckboy in the traditional sense of the word.
Yeah, it'd be fun to like really like break down even more of just like the ways and like the elements of that are shamed and tabooed and kind of put into this category, and the elements of that you're like maybe intentionally reclaiming and being like, being this way doesn't make me XYZ.
Exactly.
Right? Like having this lifestyle, having this pattern, like your integrity with that, right? Exactly. Of like, no, I'm actually choosing this.
Exactly. And I think, again, it gets so demonized, this art, because it really is an imaginal archetype. Are you familiar with depth psychology? Carl Jung? Yeah, beautiful. So the fuckboy, especially the spiritual fuckboy, could be seen as an archetype. Yeah. And I think we push that away and say that one's not okay. And there's so much healing that can occur just in general when we allow ourselves to really embrace certain archetypes, certain images. You know, it can be, and they can be dark. It can be the broken person. Yeah. It can be the person walking through hell, the
slut.
The slut. Like, shout out Mars, the sacred slut. She calls herself that, and she owns it so hard no one can touch her. Yeah. And that's the thing. What are they gonna do? Call her a slut? Dog. That's what we know, and she loves it. And
she's like, already unshamed it.
Exactly. And that's the thing. It's like, when we can reclaim that title, all of a sudden those daggers, those arrows, they can't really pierce you, because bro, we know, we get it. I've already adopted that. Yeah, it's something that I own. And it seems like it can only hurt like somebody's words if they say something about us that we can't own within ourselves yet. Yeah, exactly. So it's like, if I own the spiritual fuckboy type vibe, bro, what is someone gonna say?
Yeah, I literally named myself this.
Yeah, literally. So and again, I think there's so much beauty in being able to, again, open to different archetypes, recognizing, bro, we're empty. Yeah. Like, am I a spiritual fuckboy? Yeah, sure, at one level. Am I so much more than that? Duh. Yeah. Just like everybody else. Yeah. And I think we need to recognize that what we are is, again, inherently empty of any objective truth. So this is what I touch on a lot, which is the Buddhist principle of shunyata, which is emptiness of all of perception, anything that can be perceived, including the sense of self. And that means we can try on different imaginal figures, imaginal archetypes, such as the spiritual fuckboy. See how it feels. Yeah. For me, it's kind of funny. It's like, I get my little like clean look going, of whatever, put some cubic zirconia in my ears if I want to be hella fuckboy, but but it's like a costume. Yeah. You know, and it's just like all other possible expressions of ourselves are also costumes.
Well, and it's actually just calling attention to what's happening, right? We're admitting that like it's a choice. We're admitting that it's a mask, and that we can put it up and we can put it down. And then as we do that, right, it's like, ooh, like how there's a conscious choice of like, how much do I actually want to play with this? Yeah. And okay, I'm actually like, I've explored that enough now. Yep. Right. Or like, actually that feels complete. And there's nothing like, it's like the act of resistance itself creates this pull of like, ooh, like I need that thing more because I'm pushing it away, right? What we're rejecting and saying like, that's not okay. Exactly. Are the things that are like, oh, that needs to stay on the outskirts, which in a way actually gives it more power. Right?
Totally. It's this notion that repression just kind of leads to an intensification of that which we are repressing. And it's so like kind of hilariously paradoxical. like, for instance, something like homophobia.
Mm-hmm.
People are so scared of being gay. And it's like, guess what you resist is going to persist, because that's the deep dark taboo, and there's something that feels really right about it when you resist it that hard. And it's so funny to me. And it's can we what happens when we open up to all of it? You know, anything, any sexual expression, any way of being, fuckboy, not fuckboy, man of God, whatever. These are all masks. Yeah. And when I can open to all of it, prude.
Like, actually just play with like either end, right? Like, for me, the fun of it is like, if you're aware of the polarity of it, right? If like you've got fuckboy over here and prude over here, where's your edge?
Exactly.
And which one is actually more like enlightened? Like, which one are you going to actually get more like juice from because you haven't played in it yet? Exactly. And then how can you integrate both sides and be like, oh, this is my sovereign expression right now?
Exactly. And I think not being afraid of the polarities. So just so people know, my past, I've had periods of time where I literally thought I was like asexual. I mean, I never labeled myself like that, but I just didn't have any sexual desire. That was on my like really deep spiritual path where I was like hella depressed. Yeah. And I was just like, dude, I don't give a fuck if it's not helping me figure out this whole depression situation. And so I literally was just non-sexual. Well, not completely, but like for the most part, I just didn't have an appeal. I wasn't trying to connect with people in that way. I was like very internal and on that like very internal spiritual path. Yeah. And then I come out of that, and I kind of have been able to step into more confidence for various, you know, reasons. And like, people see this person today, I always say this, and they don't recognize that I've not been this person, this expression my whole life. Yeah. I've been deeply, well, as like self-loathing, like hating myself, thinking, not knowing, you know, what to do, where to put my energy, not believing in myself. And it was just it's not that long ago, and it's like a shell of the person that I am today. People think, oh, just pretty white dude, he just must have had just the easiest life. And it's like, bro, I didn't want to be here for like years. I didn't want to be here. I was like, bro, I'm not gonna like take my life. I was never kind of like that. I was like, that's an easy way out. I'm not gonna go like that. But it's like, I was just like, bro, can't this just fucking end? Every day I wake up, same shit. I'm over it. Yeah. And that was what really took me on this spiritual path. I gotta figure this shit out. And then again, as I've stepped into more confidence through deep understandings, insights into myself, reality, really emptiness. Yeah. Just there's been huge releases. Yeah. And I mean that in like the energy body. Yeah. Where it's like all of that tightness, that I hate myself, that I don't know what's up, the what do I do? All that tightness, that contraction, when it finally gets released, it like enters the whole being as this like free flowing energy. Yeah. Yeah. And it's Andrew Holacek, Tibetan teacher, puts it like this: the delusion of identifying with the ego, for instance, is a contraction. We actually, the mind, the psyche just shrink wraps around this thing we call ego, and it's like, oh, that's all that I am. It's all just in this mind, this body, this personality. That's me. And when we see through that and we enter a more expansive identity, there's a release of all of that energy that was like all just tight and in a knot. And that's kind of what I felt in that many, I mean, I would say I'm still feeling it, but initially it happened in 2020 when I was locked down at a ashram in India, and first had my first big break of like, fuck it, if I'm depressed forever, if I have to work at a gas station the rest of my life, fuck it. Yeah. It was just this first moment of allowance, and that opened the floodgates, and now it's been like, 5 years, and I'm still feeling like the ripples of that. And yeah, then asking the question for me is, if I was really free, if I wasn't afraid, how would I act? How would I act? And from the lens of emptiness, nothing can really make you afraid except your own mind. Even death, even pain, that's your own mind saying, be afraid, be afraid. And when I see that as my own mind, I can also love it as me. Yeah. And then it all starts to dissolve. And I'm like, wait, what am I afraid of? What people think? Fuck them. Yeah. I never had control over what they think anyway.
Yeah.
It's like...
Yeah, the piece about contraction is interesting because my personal experience of that in so many ways is that like, for our default, I think, as humans is that state of contraction. Like, there's a way in which like our survival, our conditioning, our safety is in contraction, contracting around ideas, right? And we just like collapse in on them and beliefs, right? And we get small. And then as we like start to liberate these things and unlock them, it can actually be extremely overwhelming because there's all this liberated life force that's like, holy fuck. Like, if I'm not all these things that I thought I was, if I'm not all these grasp, like grippable things. Like for me, like leaving the church and like leaving so many identities that gave me these secure anchors of like, okay, this is what I am. It's like as all of that started to break off and all these concepts, like it's like, wait, the emptiness can be terrifying for a while because it's like, wait, what do I hold to?
Exactly.
What's actually here?
Yes.
And like taking that power back into like the like subjective experience of reality and being like, fuck, I'm making all of this. I'm creating all of it. Is alarming at first because it's like this existential reclamation of power that's like, no, the world is doing this to me. That's my safety and comfort place is to like have the subjective experience. But when it's like anything and everything is felt through my own lens and my own experience, it's like there's so much life force to play with. It's like you've got to like find ways to move it and like place it somewhere on purpose.
And there's so many things I want to touch on. I do want to get to your story because I feel like it'll be really helpful for people to play with. But this notion of contraction, of when it opens up, the way I put it is like you can feel those contractions physically in your body. For instance, just tightness in your back and your hips, whatever. When you do a yoga class or some Tai Chi, that chi, that free-flowing energy, in the model of traditional Chinese medicine, at least, that chi gets locked up. And it's the same free-flowing chi, but it's just very dense and tight. And when you can either through massage or yoga or whatever, running, start to loosen and free up that energy, it goes to your mind, it goes to your body. All of a sudden you have this clarity, this focus, because again, all of that chi is now free-flowing again. And again, Andrew Holotet uses this model that is really contraction based, where, like you said, everyone for the most part is walking around in a contracted state, and we don't recognize it because of how ubiquitous it is in the culture. I mean, just in general, like, let's look at like enlightened beings like Christ, Tibetan lamas, whatever. Those beings are just in the normative state of consciousness when we're not, again, cramped, because this is what Holotek says is actually the sense of self as we experience it is like a cramp in the psyche, and it locks up and we don't know what to do because it's so tight. It just gets more tightness, and we're like, well, I guess I'll just walk around all cramped up like this, not knowing we can lean into that contraction and start to massage it. And the way that you do that is actually one of my favorite ways is inquiry, asking, am I actually this? And it can be anything. Am I actually depressed? Am I actually this thing called Ben? Am I actually, is that all that I am? Am I actually a human being? And who says so? Who convinced you of that? Who convinced you that I'm Ben? Who says so? Like these are all labels, and the more you follow that path of inquiry, which is kind of difficult because we're used to having solid ground to stand on. And when we start to enter into emptiness, that's actually an ego death for the ego. And it's going to avoid that at all costs. So the more strongly we identify with our ego, our solid separate self, the more it's going to kick and scream, the closer we get to real liberation.
Absolutely. So interesting. Like from just a somatic lens, like in the somatic experiencing world, it's like Peter Levine's work. You know, there's so much that can be done with contraction just from the somatic state. So that's something I've been enjoying playing with, is like even beyond the idea world and the mind world is just the felt sense of like, ooh, what is that? What is that big dark pit you feel in your stomach? And, you know, like titrating that, being with the edge of that, and then like noticing how just being with sensation, it actually has its own path of discharge, right? And that like in that state, like we can also liberate this like energy in a very effortless way, that it just kind of naturally like wants to like move and shift and change and like go from this thing to like, oh, now there's this like weight in my shoulder and oh, it's like coming out my hand and now it's like gone.
So what you're talking about is following somatic experience, right? So like a tightness in your chest and just paying attention to it and seeing where it goes.
Exactly. Like the mindfulness tracking of like what's actually here, and can I just be with the sensation of that? Like whether that's a raging fear or the sensation of depression. It's like when we stick with something long enough and ask the mind to be on pause, it actually does its own organic like dissolving and transforming, like from this tight thing to like, oh, there's more space now. Oh, like the edge is actually shifted from like really dense to like more ephemeral. and like, oh, it's actually just like it poofed.
Yeah.
Like it's gone now.
And what that makes me think of is this understanding that any experience, especially emotional experiences, can never be separate from our way of relating to that emotional experience.
Yeah.
So when I hear you with like somatic experiencing, first becoming curious, what's going on in my body?
Yeah.
That's actually a relationship flavored with openness and curiosity versus resistance, get it away from me.
Exactly.
This thing we call, anxiety, even panic.
Yeah.
If we break it down, it's just sensations in the body, maybe a combination of stories in the mind, whatever. But if we can just be curious of what does it actually feel like to be anxious, for instance, and we can start to really isolate, oh, it's this very tight tingling in my chest.
Yeah.
Obviously it's different for everybody. It could be like I feel numbness in my fingers if it gets really intense, but actually being curious starts to dissolve the unpleasant emotional experience, because what we're actually experiencing is our own mind's resistance to that experience, which is so trippy. We think, oh, it's just objectively happening to me. It's that experience is built on your relationship, actually. There's a relationship of, oh shit, here's anxiety again. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And it's like, that is a relationship of run, escape, get it out of here. That's resistance. And the more we resist, the more it's gonna persist in every fucking way. And and that's the thing. So much of this work, it seems very complex sometimes, but it seems so simple. Yeah. Where it's just like, can I relax and open to what creation is giving me, even internally and externally?
Precisely. And it's like it's like building a safer, bigger container within yourself, right? That like, oh, like,
okay, and we're back. Are we back? Okay, we're back. So we just had some technical difficulties, and hopefully the beginning of the podcast is saved. But to pick up where we left off, I was talking about Naropa. So this is a Buddhist university here in Boulder. And the reason I brought it up is because we were talking about this notion of resilience and how in certain spheres, certain cultural spheres, it seems like how do I put this? More like some people would like to bubble wrap the entire world and hope that it will not hurt. And my whole thing with that is life is going to fuck you no matter what. That's what it does. And at some point you just gotta fucking take it. And that's the thing. Like, if you try to point the finger and say it's somebody's fault, you're gonna be disappointed, because there will be a point when you actually can't point the finger at anyone else. You're like, wait, whose fault is this? And actually, it's not your fault either. We're moving to a place beyond blame, where life tests us, life breaks us down, and that's actually by necessity. It's how we grow. It's how we learn. It's how we explore. And I think something much more like effective than trying to bubble wrap the world and say, oh, it's XYZ, it's all their fault. It's this group of people. They're the issue. If only we could just eliminate them. And you see this in both sides of the polarities politically and in other, categories, I guess you could say. And I think that's like, how do I put this in a way that won't get me canceled? Weak. I think that's weak. And I think that's actually not good for human beings. We're not cultivating resilience. And again, it's essential that we come back to ourselves and ask, maybe, how am I constructing some suffering for myself subjectively? And I'm not saying that there isn't clear systems of inequality. Obviously, everyone can see it. But it's like, at the level of our perception, the level of my own subjective experience, we have control. And the second we point the finger and say it's somebody else's fault, it's the world's fault, it's XYZ person's fault, we've given our power away.
But how do we know? Because isn't it true that like the experience of discomfort, if I'm uncomfortable, isn't it like, doesn't it make the most sense that you have caused me to be uncomfortable?
In this situation right now? No.
Just in general, I'm uncomfortable, and I wasn't uncomfortable before we got in this chair. I wasn't here before. And so like if I'm just like looking at the potential options, like I was good. I was good before.
I hear you. And I think it's so much easier for human beings to look externally than to look at themselves. Be like, how am I making this? And we can just use some examples. If I get irritated at somebody, the way that they chew, is that their fault? Or is that on me? Or is it maybe a combination of both?
Definitely their fault.
Yeah, definitely their fault. Well, so the thing is it's not that there's a right or wrong. And I think, if somebody's chewing too loudly and it's annoying as fuck, you can tell them like, hey, bro, do you always fucking chew like that? Like, no, I'm just playing. But you could also go to yourself and be like, hey, maybe can I allow this sound? It's just a sound. And in meditation, I found when there's like a lawnmower outside or like someone's talking really loudly in the room next to me, I love what Ajahn Chah, was a Theravada monk out of Thailand. He would say something along the lines of, the sound's not bothering you, you're actually bothering the sound.
Yeah.
Leave it alone. All right. I am here joined with my friend Faith. So some background on Faith. She's all right, so the file works. Okay, cool. Let's just leave it in there. Okay, we're fucking with the tech shit here.
You guys hear those angels talking?
Yeah, maybe they didn't. Maybe they did, but time will tell. Yeah. Anyways, for me, coming back to ourselves and saying, hey, maybe what role am I playing in the construction of my own suffering? It's a part of the maturation of consciousness, in my opinion. It's like, oh, let me take the reins back over my own experience and not point the finger and say it's somebody else's fault. Because again, when I do that, I've given my power to change it away.
Yeah. We're like confronting fragility in a way, right? It's like, oh, like, do I break? Like, how easily do I break at the like turmoil of life? Yeah. Like, how quickly do I just crumble? And I'm like, versus just like actively being in the practice of like desensitizing an experience that like I can track that on myself, right? Like something that used to piss me the fuck off and like building that journey within of like, oh, wow, like the charge of that thing has completely shifted. And now I can be with it, holding myself, maybe holding my little one's hand, right? Like through the experience and relate to reality in a different way.
Exactly.
It's fucking empowering.
And it's so interesting because we can view all of our experience really as sort of this hall of mirrors where there's all these projections going on, where for the longest time, and I still have issues with this, being a masochistic alpha male archetype at this point, but where I would see people being really weak and I would be like pissed. I'd be like, bro, get up. What are you doing? And it's like, cause I really, at that point in my life, and still to this day, I have a difficult time accepting that weakness in myself. Yeah. Well, I will grind. I will run up mountains. I will work my ass off. And the weakness is just like, bro, that's not you. Don't do it. Don't do it. And for me, there's been actually a medicine in learning how to love that. Because again, that weakness is one word we could use to describe it. Also, I found that is a avenue to more tenderness, more honesty, more openness with different parts of myself. And maybe this is a good segue to get into actual parts work and internal family systems. So
you're saying kind of like loving both, right? You're loving the one who's able to grind and hustle and get up the hill, and then the one who's like, what is the part that actually is like, I don't want to push up against that painful thing right now, and like being able to hold both with like the equal amounts of love.
And it's so interesting from the parts work angle, actually letting the parts talk to each other. Yeah. Which is so cool to see what they want to say and to see, the masochistic alpha part is just like, dude, I want you to be the best version of yourself. And the weak tender part just was like, bro, I want you to be able to relax and enjoy life. And I'm like, honestly, I value both of those things. Yeah. And there has been periods in my life, especially when this was like really strong, I couldn't rest. Yeah. Because that alpha protector was so strong, I could not relax. Because it was like, bro, don't be a bitch. It's like I had David Goggins in my head being like, bro, get the fuck up. What are you doing? Yeah. And again, I think the key is balance and a kind of harmony in that inner ecosystem. So I want to hand it to you.
What I hear you saying in that is it's a great like introduction to this idea of like not being merged with our parts, right? Like in parts work, it's like there's this, most of us are walking around merged with an energy and like thinking like, this is me, right? We're identified with the alpha male. And it's like, this is the directive and this is what we follow. And like what you're describing is this process of like, whoop, like taking back the witness seat and being like, oh, that's there. You've been helping me for a long time. And there's something else here that was been more like exiled, right? And more like pushed out. And it's like that gift of being able to be the mediator in your own system of like, I'm the parent now. I'm home. I'm home and I see that you both need my attention. And like, what's actually needed here,
Yeah.
and how can we like have a mediated conversation between y'all so that these inner splits, right, the ways that we just like divide and are like within ourselves, and this like to me that's like the bridge of like inner union.
And this notion that is, I'm like this, I'm not like that. I'm strong, I'm not weak. I'm success, I'm not a failure.
Yeah.
It's like, well, actually, if you spend enough time with, again, those archetypes, really, those parts, you will have an experience in your life that actually says the opposite.
Yeah.
Just give it enough time.
Yeah.
Give it enough time.
Yeah.
That's how it will flow. And can I accept that other pole? And the image I always get is, it's like a child. It's like a little kid screaming. It's like, please love me, please. And you're just like, fuck this thing, bro. Anything but connecting with that.
Yeah.
It's like, it actually is like heartbreaking when I use that image, because it's like, imagine like a 6-year-old is just like sobbing, asking for somebody to like, hold him.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I could cry thinking about that. It's giving me chills. But so I want to get into specifically parts work. So I want to hand it off to you to describe sort of what internal family systems and parts work is conceptually.
Yeah. So like conceptually, some of the framework, some of the like the core pieces of it are, one, this idea that beyond like all of our parts, all of our like ways of being, there is this innate essential self, which they call like a capital S, self energy, right? And that self, as we begin to like soften and loosen all of these other parts that contribute, that self is just naturally caring, kind, compassionate, loving, and generous to the system. And as we begin to like, for me, like one of the biggest ones that can get in the way of even discovering that like self energy is the critic.
Yeah.
The critic is just this kind of like massive cultural part that we have, right? That can keep us from even being able to begin to feel that there could be something truer beyond the critic. And so, that's kind of like a formative base of it, right?
Right. So I'm gonna keep asking you some questions. So how do these parts develop? If these parts are not our core self, where do they come from?
Where do they come from? Yeah, I mean, all over the place. One answer is like there can be ancestral parts, right? Like ones that we've just inherited that are like handed down, and it's like, oh yeah, my mom, my grandma, my great grandma had this, and I, maybe on a soul level chose, but on a present level, I didn't choose this, right? Like this was given to me. And there's a kind of a cool process of like working with those ones specifically to like distinguish what percentage of this is actually mine, and like what percentage of this can I help unburden for my line.
Right.
So that's like one angle. Another is just conditioning, right? That life's shit gives us these experiences of like, oh, I need to please. I need to be pleasing. Oh, I need to work my ass off. I need to like, we just like develop all these little beliefs, right? That are like, become our like little inner army of like, cool, this is how I keep myself safe in this world.
Exactly. And the question is, or else what? I have to keep pleasing, or else what? I have to keep making more money, or else what?
Yeah.
And what we'll fall back on is the wounded exiles. And so what I found in my work is really parts develop because oftentimes we experience something too overwhelming for the system. Yeah. Say, and most of the time these parts develop when we're really young. So I'm in 2nd grade, some girl calls me fat and everyone laughs at me, and all of a sudden I'm like, and this is like honestly true, it wasn't 2nd grade, it was like 4th grade. I was like a little husky. Some chick called me fat and I was like, nah, I'm not living like that. And all of a sudden now I'm in like really good shape. They're like the rest of my life.
Wow.
Well, obviously it's because I have this part that's like, bro, remember how much that hurt? To feel like othered, less than. Yeah.
Like I'll never hurt like this again.
Exactly. Yeah. So that core wound could be something like feeling othered, feeling different than other people. And not fitting in, let's put it like that. That's a common one, and that could be the core wound that I didn't know how to hold when I was in fucking 4th grade. So I was like, okay, now I'm gonna be a people pleaser. I'm gonna work out all the time. I'm gonna excel at sports, whatever the fuck. And those are protector parts that are protecting us from that core wound, which is that exiled part, which again could be I don't fit in. And the whole goal of parts work is to start to understand our parts. And also we need to recognize in this modality, we view the self, the psyche, as a multiplicity of parts and a core self. So again, the parts come online and they actually enter into what they call an extremist role, because they're working so hard to try to protect you from this thing getting poked. And that can be failure. That can be feeling like we're not enough. And so the goal is actually to build the trust of the protector parts by turning towards them. Hey, people pleaser, why are you fucking up my life? You know, obviously you'd say it a lot kinder than that. It's like, hey, overworker, why can't I rest? And it'll tell you, actually. So we create these interpsychic images of like, you know, if you had this overworker part, what would it look like? Yeah,
exactly.
And it's like, oh, it's like this dude working on a railroad line, just hammering fucking.
I know him.
Yeah, exactly. So, and these parts, they work overtime trying to protect you, and oftentimes they still think you're like 8 years old. And you start to tell them, hey, I'm not 8, like I want to be able to hold myself now. Like I appreciate you trying to protect me. And that's honestly what they need to hear, is that you appreciate them, because they've been working their asses off to try to keep you safe.
And so often the default position is just like confrontation, right? Like, the fuck are you doing? Right? But when we can, like, that's like the softening of the critic, right? That's like, can we approach this from more tenderness and curiosity, and like what actually happens in the system when that role is taken is a completely different experience. So often, like, the process of being like, for me, like, critic, can you soften? Can you sit on the bleachers, please? And like watch this process. We're gonna get to you. You know, like, you have your time and your place, and like you need a lot of attention too. But like for now. And one interesting thing, I don't know, this is a little edgy to bring in, but I have found for me in my spiritual practice that's at times acknowledging that there may be a bigger energy behind a part than just a, you know, like small little thing, like kind of in the realm of like entity.
Oh, let's talk about this. Yeah.
Like, do we want to go there? Yeah. But before you do that, can we please acknowledge that so Ben and I...
You had a flash on me, flash on her. So we got the kind of gray we got the black washed denim.
Yeah, so
with the green sweater.
Ben and I just were in a really deep spiritual state this morning, and we just collectively were like, well, how can I be in most harmony with the universe today? And the answer to that was the green sweater and black.
Green sweater, black
washed
jeans.
up.
And but now we're no sweater.
Now you're messing it up, but it's okay. But yeah. This idea of like big energy behind a part.
Oh yeah. So this gets really trippy. There's a book written on this actually that I think is talking about demonic entities and parts. How we can feel like possessed by these demons, but actually they're like super extremist protectors. This part that just takes us over. Like, you know, I used to have an ex that she would drink, and all of a sudden it's like her voice would change, and like the way she looked at me would change. I'd be like, bro, is this bitch possessed? Like, what the fuck is going on right now? And it's like, from this lens, we can actually view those very neglected protector parts that are overworking very hard as those demons that are like, I'm not gonna let anyone fuck with this very tender part of myself.
Totally. And for me, it's been helpful to hold this possibility, right? I hold it loosely. Like, I've got some like a skeptic in me that's like, you know, it doesn't have to be another energy, but like just acknowledging the bigness, like the force of something, as like, it could even just be this collective idea of like, there's a collective critic who's fucking brutal and like will just tear you to shit. And if we think about like the content of our dreams, right, like if we think about like a monster figure or something, it's like these extremist ones or like entity backed parts like have a real life force behind them that can be helpful to hold in a different way.
So what you're hearing, there's so much we can talk about there with the Buddhist concept of emptiness, with this notion of internal and external is actually an empty idea. There's only reality, and the internal state is reflected through what we perceive externally. So for me, there's a real deep truth in that. I have found, specifically when I'm on high doses of psychedelics, I feel like I'm getting assaulted by demons sometimes. And that's like a real experience I've had many times, actually. I've talked about it a little bit on this podcast. And I've noticed there is a psychic link like to my psyche as far as when there's bullshit going on, really tough breakup, lots of conflict, or in a room full of strangers I've never met. When I'm on a lot of psychedelics, there's like a little weirdness. And then on those very amplified psychedelic states, it seems like external. And I've had it where it literally feels like I've been haunted, like a cloud of darkness has overtaken me. And my question is that actually external, objectively speaking, or is that internal? Because from the Buddhist lens, actually there are no others. We are making others in our mind. And this is not in a solipsistic kind of way. And so what solipsism is saying there's only you. There's only me. I'm the only viewer. Everyone else is kind of fake. Just it's like a video game. But I'm not saying that. I'm saying that our mind is constructing experience in these very deep ways, including this notion of faith sitting in front of me. Like beyond the label faith and beyond the mind, again, contracting around this form and saying this is faith. Who and also what is in front of me right now? We get to this point of voidness where I don't know. There's nothing I can really say. And boom, exactly. Then you're connected with the ground of existence. That is the void.
And in a way, like, to me, I feel like pressing this edge of two of like that, to me, confronts the whole notion of separateness, right? If we're just like, if we're just literally in this like energetic mindset of like, it's you and me here. And like, to me, parts are helpful for that, because it just paints this collective journey we're on in a way that's just like, what is the blob of the critic look like in our field, right? And like, we have like a separate experience of that, but in this lens that you're talking about, it feels like an invitation to just be in the nebulous nature of it, right? And to like, to our greatest ability, navigate from a state of assuming that everything is us.
Well, for me, it's like a both and kind of situation. When we recognize the mind is constructing otherness and it's also constructing unity, it's what we call dependent arising. That's the Buddhist term, where what arises is actually dependent on certain conditions of mind. So specifically, this is what's really interesting. I'm going to try to say it slowly because it is kind of complex. Dependent origination says that the world arises sort of through, 12 links of dependent origination. For these purposes, I'll say clinging. Clinging and aversion. The Pali word is tanha. When we cling to something, we create two things, actually. We create something that we cling to, i.e. like this mug. I cling to it. There's a mug here, and there's also a clinger. So the sense of self arises also through clinging.
Right. And both are needed.
Exactly. So, and aversion. So when we push away, and this is so interesting with trauma too, when I push away a traumatic experience, the trauma becomes very, it stands out in our perception and becomes very obvious. Like, of course that happened to me. And also the sense of self that was traumatized, it comes together. So there's, depending on the degree of resistance, a solidification of the experience of that trauma, where that story is objectively what happened. And also the sense of self that is then maybe traumatized and wounded becomes very pronounced in consciousness. And then the more we relax the clinging and the aversion, really, the push and pull of life, it starts to fade. And I mean all of life starts to fade. And in Buddhism, they talk about these really dramatic states you can enter through, just radical states of calm in meditation, where the entire world, and even the sense of self, the sense of a body, the sense of time fades. And that's just due to certain qualities and characteristics of mind, being, absence of clinging. So I bring this up in the context of parts work, because it's the parts that we are not yet integrated with, the parts that we're pushing away actively for the most part, that seem to take us over. Because again, what we resist persists.
So can I ask you then, in this context of a psychedelic experience where there's this sense of like a haunting, or this feeling of like overwhelm of like, what is this bigness of what's here? Like from this lens of like clinging and aversion, like how do you approach that? Right.
So in those experiences where, again, I've been like haunted while on, way too many mushrooms, I found there's actually not too much you can, in the moment, you just do your best to stop resisting, actually. Allow. So to code it all in love and say, it's okay. That actually might not help it. And for me, I've done that and it hasn't helped. Because what I found is actually we need to have a more proactive approach to purifying the mind, where we can't just wait till shit hits the fan to purify it. Because at that point, there are so many subtle narratives and subtle like push and pulls going on that you can't even identify what you're holding on to. It's just all of a sudden I'm in a cloud of dukkha, the Pali word for suffering, and I don't know how I ended up here and I don't know what to do about it. This is where I think meditation is again a proactive way to work with the mind to kind of stop the seeds of suffering from taking root, because you start to see these little ways of, oh, so and so looked at me weird at work, and that means they don't like me, and that means they're probably talking shit about me, and that means maybe I'm going to lose my job. This is, I'm using many poly words right now, but this is what they call papancha, which is the proliferation of thought, where actually we can just nip it in the bud and say, oh, that person looked at me weird and maybe they're having a bad day, and let it go. And all of a sudden, that's one way that the seed of suffering will not sprout in our lives. And that's just one example. There are many. Let's just say the seeds of suffering are always getting sown. And it's up to us to nip those motherfuckers and tend to the garden.
So in a way, it's like this experience of the haunting. You're saying, yeah, the one approach is we can meet it with love, and we can meet it with surrender. And sometimes that works. And sometimes it's like, whoa, there's so much backlog here of what's happened up until this point that, you know, you're already in the state. And then once you're out of it, right, it's like, okay, like there's some pruning to do here, right? Within like this garden of suffering that's been sown that like led to this amplification that maybe can't be fully addressed in the moment. Maybe it's like, okay, I'm in a psychedelic experience and this sucks. Yeah. And it's going to keep sucking until it's over.
And that's the thing. Maybe, so there's some shamanic type folks that would listen to this and say otherwise. Maybe these are objectively external creatures. I don't agree with it personally. I don't agree with it. But let me know how they do it. You know, I think drumming is very useful. I think there's something really healing about the rhythm of bass specifically, like and how the body moves to it organically, just a beat. And me seeing that like at music festivals, there's something so cleansing about getting rinsed in bass. And I mean that, like, just like there's something about it takes your mind and it puts it in a trance. And this is something I've heard on the Emerald podcast. Have you ever heard the Emerald podcast? Fucking legendary. But he talks about, Josh Shree talks about trance states and how medicinal they are and how we've lost our trance states, at least profound trances. And he's like, I've looked this up. He's showing videos of like people in Brazil, people in India, like breaking bottles on their head, like literally possessed. And we have lost that. And where I get to find that is at music festivals off 20 grams of mushrooms when I can't control my body and I'm lost in the music. And what I am, as far as Ben, is completely not present. It's something much deeper is again being channeled through us. And there's such medicine in breaking out of this shell of ego.
Yeah, totally. There's something about like the vibration that can bring us back. Like in somatic experience, they use this vu sound, which is, I mean, it's like a toning basically, right? Which yogis use. But like the vu sound, it's like it supposedly really stimulates the ventral vagal nerve, which just brings us into that more like, you know, so you would just like hold it in this like
chant it. Interesting.
And like a few breath rounds of that, right? You kind of like bring your center back. And it's like, oh, I'm here again. Right. And it's like beyond thought. It's not, thought isn't needed to come back actually. Or, you know, or it could be mantra, right? Like, I've been working with like, I know who I am, or I know what I am, or just I am. Right. And that just like, usually, I don't know, in those states, it might be a little tougher to use a mantra to come back, but sound, vibration.
Again, my whole thing with any sort of mental health issue or like demonic possession's interesting. Even thinking about it, I have one demonic story. I'm like hesitant to share because it kind of counters everything that I'm saying.
That's great. That's exactly what we want.
Exactly. That is what we want. So I'm just fucking riffing out here. We're brainstorming ideas. We're trying to figure out what the fuck is up with these demon type situations. But
because it's like both and, right? It's like, it's us and it's not us.
Do you want me to do the demon story? It's quite long. Okay. So this is sick. Prepare for a spooky fucking story. So, okay, context. I am in the midst of the end of this 2-year relationship with my partner of 3 years ago, or that I was seeing 3 years ago. Her and I was like, all right, I'm going to try to make this fucking work. We're going to go to this music festival called Secret Dreams in Ohio. That was, you know, they had us in the first half. Who the fuck? I mean, anyways, I'm not going to talk shit on that festival, even though, no, I will talk shit on that festival.
People are probably already thinking it.
Yeah, no, I'm going to be talking hella shit on Secret Dreams, sorry. But I go there with my girlfriend and I'm like, okay, I'm going to pay for everything. I mean, I paid for a lot, but I was kind of broke at the time. But we went to this music festival together, go with my homie, Elliot, some of his friends, and this girl he came with. We were just talking. It was my first time meeting her. We're in Ohio, like setting up our camp. And she's like, yeah, like I had to get an exorcism done a few weeks ago. And she's from Phoenix. None of us are from Phoenix, so we didn't know her. But I remember asking her, like, hey, is that demon like gone, or is it like still around? And she's like, oh, like I think so. And I was like, that doesn't seem that confident, to be honest. So I'm like, okay, anyways, I'm just gonna not pay attention to that, as again I'm entering extremely fluid psychedelic states. First thing that happens, first night, we have like an easy up canopy that we were gonna sleep in on, like inflatable couch setup. Well, no, we had like inflatable mattress type shit. There's a huge storm and our camp gets destroyed. No one else's does, just ours. And we didn't have anywhere to stay. So my homie Elliot puts up like a shade, like a little tarp over between two cars. And I'm like, I guess we're doing this now. And this is with my ex, who's hella bougie, and she is not about it from the start. And I was like, fuck, we're done. There's no way. But I'm still trying to make it work. We go to the sets. I'm telling you, it was like out of a bad fucking dream. So I love electronic music. I've loved it my whole life. There's artists like Daily Bread, Detox Unit, Of the Trees. At these sets, I'm telling you, no one was moving. Okay, so I think what year was this? This was like 2023, I think. 2022, 2023. Okay, no one was moving. Weird, right? Okay, yeah. So there's like bass bumping. No one's moving. I'm like, yo, what the fuck is this? Am I dreaming right now? What's going on? And so you're also at these music festivals, you're in like a shared collective field where, you know, you're feeling everyone else. And my ex, I remember by the end of the festival, she's like, I felt like my like soul was being sucked out of my body. Because it was just so numb and dissociated. I'm like, my theory is just way too much shitty drugs like ketamine and booze. You know, I'm not anti-ketamine, but I am when you're hopelessly addicted to it. But like many wooks, I'm just gonna say, if we're being honest. So and so I'm at the festival. I just start getting pissed. I'm like, what's going on? I drove 17 hours to be here. I'm spending my week here, and like this is what's going on. And like it was just so weird. I felt like I was in like purgatory this whole time.
Interesting.
And this girl, the possessed girl, like she started to fuck with us, where like she would be chill at some points, and then it was like something took her over. And she would be like blank. And I remember she was like looking at this thing and being like, oh, what is that? And like staring in the sky, like dead serious. And my homie Elliot's like, that's a drone. What are you doing? And she's like staring at it. And I was like, what the fuck is up? And then we saw her. We were like, okay, so we're like by the stage at night. We're kind of in the trees tucked to the side. And I see her. I'm not going to use her name, but I see our possessed friend by herself holding her hula hoop to her side, just walking in the blackness of the trees. I'm like, yo, what's good? Like, hey, well, like, what are you doing? She comes up to us. She's like, hey, friends. And she sits down, but she looks like scared. And she's like looking around, and like me and the homies start talking again. And like, she doesn't say a word. Give it like 3 or 5 minutes. She stands up, doesn't say anything to us, wanders directly into the blackness of the trees, holding her hula hoop, saying nothing. And I remember being like, did anyone like notice that? Like, what the fuck is going on? In this haunted purgatory type experience. Okay, so then the last day, finally they set up some function ones, and Tipper and Friends is playing. And so shout out Tipper, legendary bass music artist. And finally, people started to move. I'm telling you, it took until Sunday, and people are moving their bodies once Tipper is playing. Finally, because he's a fucking legend. I mean, I would hope so. And I remember at that set, I'm dancing. My ex is like pissed at me. She's like, well, like, why won't you dance with me? I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, we're all dancing together. But it was like, again, in her head, she's like, you don't even like me. You don't even love me. And this whole festival, she'd just been giving me shit the whole time. And it was just like, my friends were like laughing at me. And I was like, you know what? She was like, you don't even love me. And I was like, you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe I don't even love you. Because I was like, how could you say that? How could you say that? I don't even love you. Yeah, what? And I'm like, so actually prior to this, just another spooky thing that Possessed Girl did. She would be like all over me in front of my ex. And also in front of Elliot, my friend, who she came with. And I'm like, yo, what are you doing? And I would look at her. And I cannot make this up. I would look at her when she would do this. Her hands would be like shaking and frail. And her eyes were like sunken into her head, where it looked like terrifying. And I was like, what is this thing? Get off of me. And I was like getting pissed because I'm like, what are you trying to do right now in front of my girlfriend? So it was like some weird demon shit. And at that tipper set, she legitimately kicked my feet out from under me. I don't know if you've ever been dancing, but that's a pretty hard thing to fuck up. Like literally like kicked my feet as I'm dancing. And I turn around, I'm like, oh, shit. We'll block out the name. Anyways, I was like, what the fuck are
Possessed
you doing?
girl.
Yeah, possessed girl. I was like, what are you doing? I got so pissed. And that's when I started to feel like something was in me.
Yeah.
I felt this rage, like this blackout rage that I really don't feel ever. Yeah. Except like actually in this relationship, because this relationship was hella toxic and brought some real quote unquote demons out of me. Yeah. But just being hella pissed, and then after everything ends, my ex is like, you don't even love me. And I was like, oh my god, I guess, you know what,
you're right, I don't.
And that's when it felt like there were literally angels on my shoulders being like, buddy, now's the time, cut it, we have big things planned for you, cut it now. Because it was like almost like the world conspired against me to end that relationship. I don't know how to describe it, but it's like all of these things coming together where it's like, bro, cut it. No, you're not gonna cut it. All right, we're gonna fuck your life up until you do. And that whole demon experience, so this is the beginning. I have that demon experience, and then I go to another festival, Arcadia, in Vegas, and there I'm telling people about this experience at that festival, Secret Dreams, and how spooky it was. And it was right, and I'm also on many mushrooms at this point. This band Yaima was about to play, and I start feeling weird. My vision starts to blur, and I can't like think. Sort of like a very plant medicine-y spirit type feeling. And I have to like sit down, and I'm like talking to someone, I'm like, I don't know how to describe it to them, but I'm like, yo, something's going on. And I eat lots of mushrooms, lots of ketamine, lots of LSD, whatever, any psychedelic, any classic good psychedelic, I've gotten faced on many times. So I'm like, this is not a familiar experience. I was like, what is this? And it was weird. So it got to the point where like my feet started itching randomly. So I had to take my shoes off and my socks, and I was like itching my feet, and I was like, what the fuck? I can't think, I can't speak. And then I felt this thing in my stomach, and it was like moving around my like body, and it was like this very pronounced sensation, and it landed like right under my like second ab on my left. I remember this. And I started to press on it, and I started to burp in like a crazy amount of like burping, but nothing was changing. The thing was still there, and I literally didn't know what to do. I started like asking people for help, but I could barely speak. And I went to this festival alone, so I was like, wait, shit. What do I do? I started to talk to random people, and I remember this guy, he was trying to help me, and he was like, oh, don't, just remember you're all one, brother. And I'm like, dog, that's not what I need. I need someone to look me in the eyes and hold me energetically. But the dude didn't get it, and finally someone who did get it showed up, him and his daughter, and they held some space for me and just were like listening to me and like trying to describe this very strange experience. And I can't, it's so trippy again. That's when I felt like there were angels on my shoulders, and something like lifted me up out of like this blur of I can't even think. I feel like something's trying to literally take over my body, and I don't know what the fuck that was. So and then I start speaking, and I'm, already I love speaking. I'm very eloquent in a lot of ways, but something took me over, and it felt like I was literally channeling. Like I was blacking out. I don't give a fuck what people thought. And it was just bars, so much that some of my now friends, I remember, were at the sets, and they were like gathering around me, and they're like, wait, what's this dude saying?
Jesus?
Yeah, quite literally. It was very Christ type consciousness being channeled. But again, it felt like something, like the angels were on my shoulders. That's a very unique feeling I've had in certain points in my life. So this is another view. This is another view on demons. Oh, so I'm actually not quite done yet. There's more layers to this demonic experience. I go to a meditation retreat for my grad program at Naropa, and so we're there for 2 weeks up at the Drala Mountain campus, just meditating and just chilling in like basically dorms.
Beautiful place.
Beautiful place. I love that spot. But had some of the darkest dreams of my life. First one, there was like a massive spider in the dorm. And I remember I wake up, it's very lucid, not like I could control it, but very clear, very vivid, and really dystopic and spooky. And I haven't had dreams like this since, where it seems like everything is just off. Everything is slightly wrong. and like haunted house type vibes.
Yeah.
And so it was just like me and the people in the dorm. I'm in the dream. There's a massive spider. I'm like, wait, what the fuck? Everyone's asleep. I go outside and I overlook the campus, and it's all just ruins. It's all just like post-apocalyptic ruins. Trippy. And I go downstairs, and one of my professors, Corinne, I see her walking, and then I see everyone else in my class walking in one direction. Blank face, completely blank faces. I go up to Corinne, and I'm like, Corinne, what happened? Like, where's everybody going?
Yeah.
And she turns at me and goes, nobody knows. And just keeps walking. And I remember being like, what the fuck? This is like haunting. I woke up, could not go back to sleep. Again, it was so viscerally real. And then I had another dream. Again, this is where it felt like the same thing. Yeah. So in my dream, I was like in Costa Rica going into a hotel with my brother, one of the lady friends I was seeing at the time, and her friends. And my brother was like talking to me, and you know, he's had trouble with girls his whole life, but he was like, dude, I love your friends, like I think they're into me. And I'm like, yeah, dude, like I think so too. And then we're up in the hotel room, and I'm with my friend, I won't say her name, but I'm with my brother, my friend, and her friends. And I'm like, yeah, like fuck it, I'm gonna say her name. Her name's Morgan. Shout out Morgan. But I was like, yeah, Morgan, I think my brother's really into your friends. Like, this is super dope. And Morgan looks at me, and she's the most bubbly, sweetest girl, like probably that I know still, one of them. And she's like, looks at me and goes, yeah, too bad your brother's pathetic. And I was like, what? Excuse me? And this isn't like a hella lucid dream. Like, very vivid. And I was like, what? Like, what the fuck? And then I'm with my brother. It's just him and I in the dream. And I feel this thing where, like, it felt like it was, like, running around the room. Have you ever seen Spirited Away? Mm-mm. You haven't? Okay, so there's a scene with this little sludge thing. It's like a little sludge being. This is what it felt like, a little sludge being moving around. And it was moving, like, hella fast. I didn't know what it was, and then it ends up in my body. The same shit, that I experienced at that festival in Vegas happened to me in the dream, where my vision blurs, I can't think. And I'm telling Chris, I'm trying to be like, hey, something's up, please help me. And he's like, hey, what's up? What's going on in the dream? And I'm like, I can't even speak. And I remember something took me over again. And I remember I look at him, and I had this urge to, like, make out with him. And I remember feeling, like, so disturbed at that and being like, yo, wait, what? And I could not, like, speak at all. And I remember being like, in my dream, how can I tell Chris to put a bullet in my brain? Because I literally don't know what's going on. I don't know what to do here. And I felt that possession feeling again. It wasn't quite possession, but it was like something was trying to enter my being. Whew. And like it gives me chills, and I actually don't love talking about it, because when I talk about it seems like that type energy seems to show up. But I'm so curious about what it was. And I haven't had those experiences since. Well, I have had similar ones, not quite that, but something so pronounced where I'm like, is that a demon external of me? And what does that mean? Because from a Buddhist lens, that doesn't exist. Totally. Fragment of my psyche.
Can I introduce a little something to flavor this? Okay. So just like, just even the concept of, like, when we talk about this, what happens in the room, right? Like, what happens to the energy? What happens to the field? And for me, it's like, as you're talking about it, I'm feeling it, right? Like feeling like, whoa, okay, the energy is moving here. Like, what's going on? And so, just like, I'm revealing my process in the background, right? Which is like, okay, like, how can we energetically, like, it brings on a state of fear, right? There's like a feeling of fear of something that's like beyond our control potentially, right? And so it's like, okay, what is in my control? And so even in this moment, it's just like grounding the room, like imagining like roots, just like taking our chairs like all the way into the floor and feeling the solidness of that. Imagining like a pink, like, rose quartz crystal that's like at the center of the room, that's like emanating outside of it, and just like being with these counter elements, right, that can help us to like stabilize these like radical questions and like energies that we're evoking in a way, right? Or like touching on,
drawing on.
Yeah,
totally. Just like when we speak of Christ, there's a different energy in the room. And I also think there's something very beautiful when we throw in the imaginal archetypal lens to this, where it's like, can we start to actually inhabit some darker archetypes and not be afraid of that? Because what's interesting with fear, and again, I hope this makes sense, but fear takes a fear of fear in order to amplify to very crippling levels.
Yeah.
If I'm not afraid of fear, if I'm not afraid of quote unquote demons, let them come. Fuck it. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Not afraid. Interestingly, it can't take root in the same way. It's almost like it feeds on your fear. When you're not afraid of it, it can't harm you in the same way, which is really interesting.
Yeah. Which like, yeah, for me, I guess it's the piece of like, what is something that helps me feel safe with fear? Like, what's something that I can conceptualize or bring into the imaginal field, right? That's like brings an element of like, yeah, I can be with this. And I know I have this resource. Yeah. Right. Which in like, from my parts work journey has been like a really key form of that is like, okay, what's like the helper that can be here in the imaginal world with me, which is ultimately just self, right? It's like, even if you're listening an angel or something that's like coming there to be by your side, it's like this is all just potentially fractals of me, but it's like, how can I hold both at the same time, right? There's this angelic force here with a fucking sword at its side.
Totally. And what's so interesting is I think that we can invoke angels and demons alike. And I think that's where having some mindfulness, just being aware of what's going on right now. Am I invoking demonic energies? Am I invoking, and again, angels and demons, like, that's a very dualistic way of looking at it. Really, it's just like energies that we relate to skillfully and energies that we don't relate to skillfully. I think that's also a very skillful way of approaching those quote unquote demons and angels. But when we can call on angelic beings, again, really focusing on archetypes like the Archangel Michael, that's one that I've called on quite a bit. There's this strength, fearlessness. Oh, I'm getting chills. Just like this light. Nothing can touch it. And that's like, we can start to channel that, bring them in the room. Then that starts to inform our energy body. And again, recognizing it's all empty. This is what we have to come to. Even the experience that there are no angels and demons, that's an empty experience. Just like the experience that there are very real angels and demons, also empty. The choice and the power is ours to choose what world are we going to construct, knowing that there's pros and cons to all of it. All of it. Totally. There's none that's objectively better than the other. Like even atheism or scientific materialism, I talk shit on those perspectives all the time just because I think they just lack creativity and they kind of invoke a very cold, lifeless world. But at the same time, there's a benefit to that. Whereas all of the magic can get sucked out of the world. And there's pros and cons to that. Where all of a sudden the angels can't touch me, but neither can the demons. Interesting. Everything becomes very scientific and psychological as opposed to like esoteric and mystical. And there's pros and cons to that. So the recognizing the emptiness, I think, is the ultimate like get out of jail free card. Like if you recognize it's all empty, at that point, what can it do? If you really know that it's empty, but you have to know it is. Recognizing that any view is going to be equally empty.
What this is touching for me, I think, is just the feeling of sovereignty, the feeling of like personal responsibility and power that's like at choice, right? So even if there are in this like conceptual world, even if we can imagine that like, okay, for one, maybe I'm imagining that you're here. Or like if we're confronting the physical nature of things, right? Like the distinction of like a spirit self or an entity self that could be, you know, this disgruntled employee of life, right? That's here and actually does have a personal identity and it's just like pissed. It's fucking pissed off. And it's like a hungry ghost that's just like bitter that it's not material anymore. It's bitter that it's not in a body. And so sometimes like, you know, potentially they come into play and they're like, yo, like, I'd like, may I please fuck you up?
May I please?
And like sometimes I think like drugs and like these opening experiences, like they open up our material body in a way, right? That's like actually like inviting of different things to come in and just be more in that energetic state of like the material and immaterial kind of blurring.
Well, it's so interesting. The image that I'm getting right now is like, again, I like that polarity of the material and the immaterial. And the way I put it is like, the immaterial is more of the imaginal, where really the imaginal and the material are not actually separate, but we can use them as separate, where it's like the imaginal is constructing the world that then gets infused and projected into the material, and then we experience that material world. But actually, they're inextricably linked. So it's like, what are our imaginal stories? And recognizing too, like, again, everything is imaginal. When we can fall into that view through a direct experience of emptiness, of the voidness of reality as we know it, at that point we recognize, oh, what is going on right now is an artistic expression of source. This is an artistic expression of the art, the dance, the smoke and mirrors of push and pull, and what mind, again, not my mind, collective mind, creates.
Yeah.
And yeah, go on.
Yeah, it also like, it's also like an admission of like, we're in an experiment right now where there is an object and a subject, right? And that like, even though we can conceptually, imaginally deconstruct all of it and be like, no, we're all in the same fucking pool, we're also still here.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
And it's both at the same time, and it's both like, yeah, if you're this, like, I'm not I don't consider myself so powerful to think that I am imagining the entirety of this experience, and that you have not also played a role in constructing the fact that we're here in this moment.
Right. This all comes down to like semantics. Because I could say yes and. Yes, both
it's
and
both.
neither. And
it's
that's
all
the
of
thing.
it.
The logical mind, again, this is actually directly linked to ego, actually, wants solid ground to stand on. It's like, is this real or is this made up?
Right.
Don't
Either
tell me
or.
both. What
Either
the fuck?
or.
It can't be both.
Yeah.
And it's like, actually, the freedom is in both. It depends on your belief.
Yeah.
It depends on where your mind's at.
You know about the tetralama?
No.
I forget where exactly this comes from, but like, it's like the 4 stages of it are like this. The second one's like not this. The third one is both this and this, and the fourth one is like neither this or this.
Interesting.
I forget where it comes from,
it.
but like it's like they're all simultaneously true.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
It's all happening.
Exactly. I forget who said it. I heard this in a Dharma talk, but some high-level physicist type dude was like, if you examine any quote-unquote truth, you will be able to make a valid argument for its polar opposite, actually, and just apply this to your life. Am I real? Yeah, duh. But am I not real? Well, in a sense,
Fucking duh.
Like we can never separate ourselves from imagination. Ever.
Yeah.
So it's like yes and yes. And if it's both yes and yes, then it must be neither. But it's not quite neither, actually. We're in this place where the mind can't land on solid ground.
Yeah.
And that is what Buddhism talks about. That's where the freedom is. And
Yeah.
it takes, the way I put it, it takes the eyes a moment to adjust to that freedom. Because at first you're like, I definitely want something to hold on to. I need some ground. I need some certainty and stability about what's going on right now. But actually, we don't. Which is the freedom part. Actually, why do I need certainty and stability about what's going on?
Well, exactly. That's like the bringing the power back within, right? Is like, if I can totally reclaim my power as a witness, then I'm at choice. I'm at choice with how I want to experience reality. And at what point am I gaslighting myself into believing something that isn't real, but it's actually beneficial?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's like we're living in a illusory world no matter what.
Yeah.
Just because everyone believes a certain delusion, a certain illusion, does not make it real. It just means everyone else believes a certain illusion. And that's what psychologist James Hillman says, is reality is actually a fantasy, but it's the fantasy that we have either forgotten is a fantasy, or that we say, oh, this fantasy, this story is actually not a fantasy.
We agreed on it.
Yeah. This one's actually real.
Yeah.
And because everyone agrees on it, okay, great. We're good.
We're agreeing
now
on
all
this.
of our
Safe.
solid, separate egos can stand on something, and now we're all good.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like, we don't have to stand on anything.
Yeah.
What if we were all floating through the void?
Yeah.
And what if that was actually okay?
Yeah.
What if what we are was more of, again, smoke and mirrors and a magic show than something really real?
Yeah.
And again, what happens when we can just explore that for ourselves? Because like, if someone hears this and resonates, or they fucking hate it, I would either way say explore it for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So in our final moments, I'm trying to think, how do we weave this back to parts work?
Parts work.
Parts.
Yeah, no. Well, we spent a good amount of time on parts work. I think the demon conversation really got away from us.
We switched
that
it a little
that
bit
story
there.
had to be told at some point though, because it is really haunting, and it still kind of freaks me out. I still don't know what the fuck that was.
Yeah, and so I guess my take on bringing it back is like, we can negotiate. We can negotiate with whatever's here, and we can have conversation, and we do have a sovereign choice in being like one thing that I love in this work is sort of like a dial idea of like, cool, like, critic, you're a beast, respect. Yeah. We're gonna turn the dial on you down to 75%.
How do you do
so
that,
that it's an energetic experience. Like, so like, as you're being like, I would definitely recommend being guided in this first before you can do it to yourself. But like, as you're in this intuitive state, like for me, when I'm in a parts work session, it's mostly like eyes closed, and I'm just feel like I'm in hypnosis in a lot of ways. And in that state, the imaginal mind is powerful to be able to be like, okay, this thing that's here, can I create the perfect distance between me and it, right? Which for one is unmerging. You have to take it off your face and be like, boom, it's in a chair now. right? And then it's like, okay, like that chair needs to go at the end of the room. You need to sit over there so that we can have a reasonable conversation, right? And then we can begin to build this relationship versus you sitting right in front of my face and just being like.
And I love that you would use the example of the inner critic, because I think that is such a universally like mind fucking part that just sucks. And these people crippled some people their whole lives. This inner critic. And I think what's so interesting is, in my own personal experience with myself, is examining the inner critic and recognizing, again, it's like related to that alpha part that just wants, it's like, bro, I don't want you to settle for anything less than your best. And hearing that, I'm like, dog, I get it. I respect that. Thank you. And it's like when you can start to relate to it as, you know, with a thank you mentality versus like a why do you have to fuck my life up mentality, it actually fundamentally transforms what that part is. Because again, the part that we experience is not separate from our way of relating to that part. So when I can say, oh, thank you for like protecting me and making sure that I thrive, and it's like, yes, thank you for seeing me, that part finally can start to become less intense. Because again, what we resist persists, and what we allow can start to move on and become integrated into the whole.
It begins to like relax and like feel this like trust of like, oh, somebody's home and I'm getting relationship with them now, and like the ability to negotiate and like arrange yourself with it totally changes.
All right, well, I think we're about at time. Beautiful conversation. We definitely I would love to do one
Let's do this again.
So
Sweet.
Faith, do you want to shout yourself out or anything that you're doing?
Somatic experiencing and parts work are amazing together. They're this honestly feel like a very psychedelic experience without drugs. So it's a very like, you know, hypnosis kind of state of just like openness and receptivity. And I have space for new clients. So
where can people find you?
You can find me at I am Faith Victoria on Instagram or intuitiveremembering.com.
I like that, intuitive remembering.
Yeah, remembering the parts.
Yeah, nice. All right, well, that's it for today. Thank you all who listened through the various phases of this podcast. I love it. I hope we didn't spook you guys with the demonic stuff.
Invoke your angels.
It's all in your head. Maybe, maybe not. So stay tuned. Thank you, everyone.